Muscle memory is a phenomenon where our muscles remember repetitive movements and tasks they have performed in the past. It's not actually stored in the muscles themselves, but rather in the brain. Through consistent practice or repetition, the brain creates neural pathways that enhance the coordination and efficiency of those movements. This allows us to perform certain activities, like playing an instrument or typing, with greater accuracy and less conscious effort over time. Athletes, musicians, and skilled professionals often rely on muscle memory to perform complex actions almost instinctively. It's a fascinating example of how our brains adapt and optimize our abilities through experience. Here are 5 distinct activities that are particularly beneficial for developing muscle memory. Musical instruments. Playing musical instruments like the piano, guitar, or violin requires precise and coordinated movements. Practicing regularly helps build muscle memory for finger placements, chords, and sequences, enabling musicians to play more effortlessly and accurately. Sports. Sports that involve repetitive motions, such as tennis, basketball, or golf, rely heavily on muscle memory. Athletes develop specific techniques and movements through practice, allowing them to react quickly and perform complex actions without conscious thought. Typing. Regular typing on a keyboard is a great example of muscle memory. Touch typists develop the ability to type quickly and accurately without looking at the keys because their fingers have learned the layout and positioning of the keys over time. Dance. Various dance forms require precise and intricate movements of different body parts. Dancers develop muscle memory through consistent practice, enabling them to perform routines with fluidity and grace. Artistic skills. Activities like drawing, painting, or calligraphy involve intricate hand movements and coordination. Repeated practice helps artists develop muscle memory for creating specific lines, shapes, and strokes. Engaging in these activities over time helps the brain create strong neural connections related to the specific motions required. As a result, individuals can perform these actions more efficiently, accurately, and with less conscious effort due to the development of muscle memory. Imagine your brain as a bustling city, and the neural pathways as roads connecting different parts of the city. When you first attempt a new activity, like playing a musical instrument, it's like paving a fresh path through an untouched wilderness. The road is bumpy, and progress is slow. But with each practice session, you're sending a group of road builders to smoothen the path and make it wider. As you practice more, these road builders, neurons, become experts at their task. They lay down a special kind of asphalt, protein synthesis, on the pathway. This special asphalt is called myelin, and it acts like a super smooth surface that makes signals travel faster and more efficiently. The more you practice, the thicker and smoother the myelin layer becomes, transforming your bumpy path into a well-paved highway. Now, let's talk about muscle memory in terms of the cityscape. Each time you practice a specific movement, your brain creates a shortcut in the form of a new road. At first, this road might be narrow and winding, much like a trail through the woods. But as you keep practicing, the road builders lay down layers of myelin, transforming this trail into a wide, straight freeway. Here's where the magic happens. With enough repetition, your brain recognizes that this well-paved route is important and frequently used. So, it decides to light up this highway with bright streetlights, strong neural connections. These streetlights make it easy for your brain to access this route whenever you need it. This is your muscle memory at work, the ability to effortlessly find and travel along this neural highway whenever you perform the specific action. In essence, muscle memory is like turning a rugged wilderness into a well-organized city with efficient highways and bright streetlights. The more you practice, the more these neural pathways develop, making complex tasks feel almost automatic. So, whether you're playing a tune on a guitar or shooting a basketball, your brain has created a well-lit, superhighway of connections that help you perform with precision and finesse. Muscle memory is a result of neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to adapt and reorganize itself in response to learning and experience. When you repeatedly perform a specific movement or activity, a series of events occur. Initial learning. When you first learn a new movement, your brain's motor cortex initiates the neural pathways associated with that action. These pathways are like communication channels that involve the transmission of signals between different parts of the brain and the muscles involved in the movement. Repetition. As you practice the movement over and over, these neural pathways become more active. This increased activity leads to the strengthening of connections between neurons, known as synapses. The more frequently the pathway is used, the stronger these connections become. Synaptic plasticity. Synaptic plasticity is a fundamental process in neuroplasticity. It involves the strengthening or weakening of synapses based on their level of use. When you consistently practice a movement, the synapses in the neural pathways associated with that movement become more efficient at transmitting signals. Myelination. Myelin is a fatty substance that forms a protective sheath around nerve fibers, much like insulation around electrical wires. With repeated practice, the neurons involved in the movement trigger the production of myelin. This myelination process results in faster and more efficient transmission of signals along the neural pathways. Neural efficiency. With time and practice, the brain becomes more efficient at recruiting the necessary neurons for the specific movement. Neurons that fire together frequently strengthen their connections, leading to smoother and more coordinated muscle contractions. Long-term potentiation. Long-term potentiation, LTP, is a process by which the strength of synapses is increased over time due to repeated stimulation. It plays a key role in the formation of memory. The repeated firing of neurons during practice sessions leads to the strengthening of the synaptic connections responsible for the movement. Retrieval and consolidation. When you recall and execute the movement from memory, your brain activates the same neural pathways that were developed through practice. This retrieval process reinforces these pathways, further solidifying the muscle memory. The connections that form the basis of muscle memory are made within neural pathways involving the motor cortex, which is responsible for coordinating voluntary movements. Through repetition, synaptic plasticity, myelination, neural efficiency, and long-term potentiation, these pathways become stronger and more efficient. This allows the brain to retrieve and execute the learned movement with precision and minimal conscious effort. The muscle. At its core, a muscle's fundamental job is to contract. It's like a reliable worker that pulls on its ends when it receives the signal from your brain, allowing you to perform various movements. However, this worker doesn't have a built-in off switch, it relies on you to allow it to relax. When you're done with a movement, it's your responsibility to release the tension in the muscle. Otherwise, the muscle might stay contracted longer than necessary, causing discomfort or even pain. This can be likened to a worker who keeps working overtime because they weren't told to stop. Now, the muscle's response to your instructions can sometimes be a bit overenthusiastic. If you instruct it to contract too much or for too long, it might follow those instructions even if you didn't intend it to. This can lead to issues like muscle cramps or spasms, where the muscle contracts involuntarily. It's as if the worker misunderstood the instructions and continued working despite not being asked to. On the other side of the spectrum, if you neglect to use a muscle regularly, it starts to lose its strength and size. This process is called muscle atrophy. It's similar to how a worker who isn't given tasks to do gradually becomes less skilled and productive. The muscle fibers become smaller, and the muscle's overall structure weakens. In summary, your muscles are like diligent workers that contract when instructed. It's up to you to make sure they relax when needed and to prevent overuse. Neglecting them can lead to atrophy, while overworking them can cause involuntary contractions. Finding the right balance through exercise, relaxation, and stretching is crucial for maintaining healthy and functional muscle.
Now that you know the science behind repetitive practice, are you ready to get better? Good. Subscribe to see what follow-along practice routines we upload. After all, the more you practice, the better you get, and the better you get, the better you get at getting better.